tells me about your word on Sundays. I never go, but tell them I'll go with them one day. They say you have the answers I've been longing for, but somehow I don't feel like I'm on one accord with you. I believe you have something for me alone. Humbly, Lord, how do I approach the throne? Cause all I have to offer, Lord, is it enough? I give you my trust. I heard you're a miracle worker, graceful healer for sinner. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? I have heard you dried the eyes of many, healed more hearts, love for plenty. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room for me? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room? Hey, is there room for me? Oh, no. I heard how you saved Daniel from the lion's den and stayed with Jonah in the well he was within. I need the protection. I know I'm not worthy. I'm in a state of desperation, Lord, I need that mercy. I believe you have something for me alone. Humbly, Lord, how do I approach the throne? Cause all I have to offer, Lord, is it enough? I give you my trust. I heard you're a miracle worker, graceful healer for sinner. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? I have heard you dried the eyes of many, healed more hearts, love for plenty. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room for me? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room? Is there room for me? Tell me, is there room? Is there room for me? I heard you're a miracle worker, graceful healer for sinner. Can you take me in? Can you take me in? I heard you won't dry the eyes of many, heal more hearts, love for plenty. Can you take me in? Take me in. I heard you're a miracle worker, graceful healer for sinner. Can you take me in? Can you take me in? I heard you dry the eyes of many, heal my heart. Can you take me in? I heard you're a miracle worker, graceful healer for sinner. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? I have heard you dried the eyes of many, heal more hearts, love for plenty. Can you take me in? Is there room for me? Can you take me in? Is there room for me? Is there room for me? Can you take me in? Is there room for me? Is there room for me?
You're listening to Launch with Kim
and Dr. New
on Praise.fm.
Welcome to Launch
with Kim
and Dr. New.
How y'all doing?
You hear that vibrato?
I guess he's been practicing, y'all. I don't know.
Back to the choir day.
Back to the choir day.
Milton Preston.
Thompson Community Choir. Where if you didn't make your lips shake and all that, then you weren't singing. That's right. All right, next time we're going to tell the producers we're going to sing.
Y'all too young. Y'all know nothing about that.
We're going to have a karaoke night.
That's grown folks' turkey.
We're going to have a launch karaoke night. That would be so funny.
Back in the days when the brothers had waves.
Mm-hmm. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys had a good week.
Yes.
Hope your families are blessed.
Yes.
And you're protected. We heard that there's some power outages going on in Texas. So area, we pray for those guys who are in Texas because my goodness.
Friends, some of them all day long since this morning.
Mhm.
Electric 12, 13 hours, and
Yeah.
I think it's a cold front coming through there as well. So
And there's no heat,
yeah,
so
we're praying for them,
yeah.
to be able to stay safe and healthy, and cover whatever losses happen. I was on a chat with some folks from Texas today, and they're going in their car to stay warm, and going back in their house and getting in the under blankets.
Yeah.
So, you just, when things like that happen, you think how blessed you are.
Mm-hmm.
How fortunate and blessed you are. I know we lived in Phoenix for a minute, and it was 105, 108 degrees.
17. Come on, take it up now.
we were complaining, about
Like,
the heat, and the heat can take you out too.
But we only complain when we walk from the house to the car.
So I'm just saying, it's just perspective.
Right.
Perspective. So I just thank God.
But in all things,
yes,
give thanks.
That's right.
It's the will of God concerning you. So we just need to be thankful. It's His will, and His will is concerning us. So, and while we're in His will and while we're giving thanks, we want to even thank God for those who are in Texas who were able to make a way and find warm places. And we ask God to just cover them and to keep them.
Bind together.
Yes. So I don't know what you guys have been doing all weekend, but my weekend has been crazy busy. How about you? I don't know about you, but mine has been busy. I have been doing all kinds of stuff with the young people. Young people will keep you young and they'll keep you busy. I did a cake decorating competition with some teenage kids. And it was so fun. And the kids actually rose to the occasion.
Yeah,
their cakes were nice. The one group, they had to have, the challenge was they had to have fondant. They had to have a surprise come out of the cake. It had to be a 2-layer cake. And they had to create a cake topper. And when I tell you these kids...
We should have made a slide.
Yeah, we should have made a slide and shared it. But I'll share it at some point. I was trying to make something up, but I got so many other things that's going on. I just needed to stay busy. But I wanted to share this because, we're saying we're home, the kids saying they're bored. There are things to do.
Yes.
There are all kinds of things you can do with your kids. So I told them they could use Rice Krispie treats to shape things, or they could just use cake and cut it out. Nonetheless, they could use whatever they wanted as long as one section of the cake was edible. Okay. So these kids literally, they made homemade cakes the night before. They put chocolate chips in their cakes. And then we had a Valentine's Day theme. They colored their cake, food coloring. Some of the cakes were green. They had 3 and 4 layers with red and green and yellow, pink and black. I mean, it was amazing. Then they created their own fondant. They didn't go buy the fondant made. They took powdered sugar they created their own, rolled it out, froze it, rolled it out, shaped it, cut it, and laid it over top of their cakes. It was impressive. Yeah, they actually cut the fondant, made a bow around the cake and created an actual bow. I mean, they went on YouTube. These are 13, 14-year-old, 12, 13, and 14-year-old kids who did this. So parents, I'm saying this, and tonight we're going to just be comfortable like a radio show. We have something we're going to talk about, but I want to make sure we hit other areas. I said like a radio show, like we ain't one. Well, what I mean by that is to hit other areas. Parents, you can do things at home with your kids.
Don't tell nobody else.
They don't have to be bored. You can find something fun to do.
Right.
Watch those cake shows. Give your kids something to do. Make them smile. So
I think I wasn't there, but I think I was most impressed by what they did.
Yeah.
Like the message that I heard right away was stop underestimating what your children can do.
Exactly.
When I saw that bow that they made around that thing, I was like, what?
And the
How
cake
did they know how
topper.
to do that?
Yeah.
This generation, Gen Z, they know how to research.
Z.
They know how to access information.
Mhm.
They know how to watch and figure it out and do it. So don't underestimate your children.
Yes.
Set that bar high.
Set it
So
high.
that they can create and innovate and take this world to the next level. I've been listening to Cindy Trim. And
Yes.
she's talking a lot about that.
Yes.
What's next?
What's next?
And God created us to dream and to have visions and to make them, to make them occur. And I believe that's what this Gen Z generation is about. I believe that's part of why the whole pandemic happened, to kind of wipe out the status quo, so that whoever has the next new idea is able to, everything's moved out the way. They're able to come to the front.
Come to the front.
So that we can, as a people, I'm saying a people, human beings, move to our next level, whatever that is.
Whatever it is. So the last thing I wanted to say no, it's okay. You got excited, but I love it. In the inside of the cake, they had to put some surprise. Because this was so awesome. So that when they cut it and put it on our plate, the surprise had to burst through. So when they cut the cakes, their candy just drizzled out. They had all types of candy, and it just ran out of the cake. So I'm just, and when New says,
how come when you bake the cake, the candy doesn't melt?
No, they didn't bake the cake with the candy in there. They baked the cakes the day before. They prepped them. The decoration competition was
so like the icing glued the cake together.
No, babe. Okay, so he should have came with me. He was here working though. But no, what they did was they had the cakes already cooled, and then they cut the hole in the center of one or two,
like Newton did.
Like my son did when he cut the center of my cake because he wanted the middle. But anyway, they cut the center of the cake and they dumped the candy inside, and then they built around it. And they dumped more. Then they covered it with fondant. It was just impressive.
So like the icing glue was like the glue.
Yeah, icing is always, or whipped topping. So they use that too. But it was amazing.
Like
I had judges.
Gorilla Glue Challenge.
No, it's not that. The blood of Jesus. I had judges that zoomed in. One was in Arizona. The other one is in, where was Victoria at? Oklahoma. So my two judges were one from Arizona, one from Oklahoma. They watched the challenge. The kids had an hour. We gave them like an hour and 10 minutes because, there was some technical difficulties. And after they watched the challenge, they then judged them on the categories. And it was amazing. So I will be posting something. You'll have to watch. I'll have some stuff also up on Ami's World. So just keep your eyes open for it.
So anyway, welcome to Praise. Where we at?
We're
at Praise.fm. That's right. Welcome to Praise.fm.
But this is launch with Kim and Dr.
Launch, but we're on Praise.fm. So we want to welcome you to that tonight. And hope that you're able to grab something from what we want to say. But listen, we want you to, if you're tuned in, we want to thank you for stopping what you're doing. To tune in and hear anything that we have to say.
Share, like.
Our little lips of clay. Share, please. That's all we ask. If you like what we're saying, you like what we're doing, it touches you in any way, please share that on your social media, and tell folks about Praise.fm. There are many shows on there. Is there a way so we can see the if there's any comments?
Oh.
There we go.
Hi.
Comments. I want to listen.
Hey,
so thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Tonight, what we kind of want to do, we're going to share our screen. We got a little PowerPoint for you, so we're going to go kind of teacher style. Is that okay?
Let's go with it.
So, we were kind of contemplating a couple different directions we wanted to go. We had something prepared with marriage, and we had something prepared with Black History.
Because I was real excited about that Black History thing.
So we have a little bit of time. Maybe we'll be able to jump around a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of share my screen, you guys. It is going to look like this.
That sound. We'll go back.
So I'm going to unshare my screen, you guys.
Gotta get the sound.
And I'm going to go ahead and hit that sound first so we can make sure you hear it.
There we go.
Let's get into presentation mode. So what you should be seeing right now is a slide
that
says
logo.
Marriage Simple as Pie.
One of our logos.
Protect, Invest, Empower, from one of our ministries. So our marriage ministry, if you will, or service that we provide.
Not saying that marriage is easy. What we're saying is it's simple,
right? But
it has an ingredient that you have to follow for your own. Every marriage has its own ingredient.
Right. And it's going to look different and taste different than every other marriage. So don't just, what one does may not look like the same as the other, but we don't want to get stuck there. We want to kind of real quick talk to you about something today. And we want to give you a task. So the task is to kind of find out who you are. And the task is for you to go ahead and write down 3 to 5 things
about yourself.
What's your ministry?
Who
you are.
Not what you do. who you are
Right.
as a person. Yeah.
Things about yourself, the
Mhm.
things you do, the things that are a part of that make up who you are.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes. Because we can always talk about what we do.
Right.
You want to know who you are as a person.
So we're going to task you to kind of go ahead and do that. And we're going to come back to that a little later in the show. So just wanted to kind of pause there, take our time so you can kind of, think about it. We weren't going to play you a video. So if we were doing this live, like in a room or something, or the way you want to do it, we would play the video while you were doing that. We're not going to do that this time. We're going to come back to that a little later. Just going to go to our next slide. Whoops. And we want to talk to you about divorce and some of the things that are going on with marriage today. Hey, Bernard Baxter. Thank you for tuning
Bernie.
in. So the deal is that in our country today, there's a real high divorce rate, right? So let's just give you some of the stats. First of all, it's this. 2 out of every 9
2.9
2.9 of every 1,000 people in the United States have been divorced. That's 1,015,000 divorces. And these are 2019 statistics.
Yeah. So that's
2019
crazy.
statistics.
And the numbers have gone up because of COVID.
Right.
Those numbers have increased.
So we're speculating that, and that's just following what they haven't done a report yet.
Right.
So as soon as we find that report, we'll post that new data as well. So 2.9 out of every 1,000. So every 1,000 marriages, 3 of them are ending in divorce, right? And here's the deal. In the South, right, that's the highest rate of divorce. It's like 10 per every 1,000. So the first one, 2.9, that's the average.
Right.
It's 10 per every 1,000 in the South. And in the Northeast is the next one, or the lowest, where it's 7.2 per every 1,000. Not exactly sure why there's a difference in those areas, but there are. So we're just kind of telling you, if you're in that geographical area, so it's a little more accepted in one place than the other.
But you don't want to be a statistic, so listen up tonight.
Right. Here's another one for you. The average length of the marriage in the United States is just
only
around
8 years.
So that's average. Now you gotta remember, average is you take the largest and you add them all up, and you take the lowest and you divide by that number. So the average is 8. So Kim and I have 21. It's our second marriage. So she was married 16 years before.
Right.
So she's been married
all my life.
Yeah,
just all my life.
She's only 39. She's been married.
56.
37 years. Of that 39. So and I know people have been married 46 in 50. So we're not saying marriages only last 8 years. This is the average amount.
Keep in mind also that this average, and thank you, Louise Ellison, for the double portion. Keep in mind that the average also looks like this. You get married, things are going well, and then until you get the divorce, some of those years go on, because many people don't divorce right away.
Right.
So that relationship is still not solid. You're just hanging on. You're just married.
Right.
The title of marriage.
And the overall statistic for the whole country is about 42% of all marriages end in divorce. 42%.
In the United States.
Right. So just a year before that, 2018, 2017, it was 50%. So it dropped a little. But here's one of the things you want to keep in mind. The divorce rate dropped because the number of people getting married also dropped.
Right.
So especially the millennial generation. So the millennial, we're Generation Xers, so our kids are millennials. So most of them, right, are millennials. And
they're all. She's on that borderline.
Yeah. So they millennials are not getting married as much as our generation has. And that could be the example we set. I mean, it could be just changes in society. It could be a lot of things. But
waiting to complete their careers.
Right. Less of them are getting married. So that means less of them are getting divorced. So that's why that divorce rate, one of the reasons why that divorce rate is dropping. So we just want to give you some statistics there about divorce in the United States. So now let's talk about some more of the common reasons that there is Divorce. Oh, why? I'm looking right at the word and can't even say it, stuttering, right? Some more common reasons. So the first one's cheating.
Mm-hmm. We already know what that is.
That's just self-explanatory.
Right. But let's talk about that as well. So sometimes people look at cheating as someone having a full-fledged relationship with someone. Some people look at it as just sexual. Cheating happens in other ways. Those DMs, inboxing, those deep conversations that you're having with someone that you should just be having with your spouse. Any of those things that you do when your spouse is not around is an act walking towards cheating. Whether or not it becomes a sexual relationship or not, cheating happens when you are doing what you would not do in front of your spouse with another mate, male or female.
Get
that right.
We can't do it here. We don't have enough time, but in the conference that we have set up, we did some research and we found that a large portion of that cheating began with play on social media.
Yes, social media is a big promoter.
Right.
Those inboxes.
Yeah, those text messages with all the suggestions, little things like that.
And just the open communication,
right.
Responding to people who, you shouldn't be,
right.
sending those pictures, seductive pictures.
You and your wife or you and your husband, just had like a hot moment, a heated moment, or you disagree with something and you go in the bathroom and you text, there he goes again. There she goes
on
again.
Facebook,
or to that person that you confided.
Be careful.
So anyway, we don't have time to get into that too much, but that's one of the things we said. Another one's communication problems. One of the biggest ones in my book is communication problems, not being able to
be honest.
Yes, not being able. As men, a lot of times we don't know how to communicate. Communication, we believe, is just supposed to happen. And we don't understand that we have to make it happen. So that lack of communication around us sometimes makes us feel unheard, unvalued, and frustrated because we don't know how to make our point come across.
Yeah, and for ladies, as we know, women talk way more than men talk. So our communication problem with men that we have is we don't feel like they hear us. But part of the thing is that we are overly over talking them many times, not all women, but sometimes we are talking too fast, which means all that we said was too much for them. We're going to have to give it to them in small pieces. So It's not saying that they can't receive it. It's just that it is common. We know that women talk more than men. And there's a study on that.
Yes.
We also have to remember that just because something is in your head, the way you feel about it, and when you speak about it, doesn't mean that's the thing that person hears.
That's a big one. That goes both
Yeah.
ways.
How are you coming? How are you showing up in the conversation? What are you saying? Does it sound? And then ask them, what did you just hear me say? Because what could be happening is what you're saying is definitely not what they're hearing.
And if you're anything like me, you've had a whole conversation with yourself. And you forget that was with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually said that to Kim. And sometimes I'll say to her, that's why I said such and such.
And I'll be like, you
didn't
not
say that to me. You said that to yourself.
Yeah, I've said that to him. Maybe he was talking to yourself because you did not say that to me.
Right. So anyway, communication issues. Abuse and physical abuse, whether it's physical or emotional.
Yes.
We did a show
back in
about 7-8 months ago about different types of abuse in
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So that physical, that emotional, they're just as damaging.
Yeah.
One just as damaging as the other. I don't want to put them on scales because I don't want to be an accidental diminisher of anyone who happens to be in one of those situations. But but they're both just as damaging.
Just as damaging.
Yes.
Nonetheless, if that physical altercation is happening, that is grounds to get up and out of there and move in silence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't share that information. You get going and you keep yourself safe. The emotional is just as heavy, but in that you need to be talking to someone yourself.
Right.
Because what happens with emotional, that is like a seed that's being planted. Eventually you take what's being said to you and they don't have to say it anymore. You start saying it to yourself.
Yes.
So you need to get some support.
You perpetuate the seed.
Yeah.
Because you're soil.
Your soil, exactly.
Your
The
soil.
next one is financial issues. We all know in relationships, well, that can be a big one, especially if one person is working, and that person feels like all the weight is on them, or if the other person used to work and now they're not helping, so then they feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that all of that tension and that frustration, you're then spewing it out at the other person. And they always say you always hurt the one you love,
Yeah.
and many times
It's
that
real
happens.
stuff.
It is real stuff.
Yeah.
You end up hurting the person who's closest to you, the person who you love. You're not trying to hurt them,
Right.
but many times because of financial issues, worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, how you're going to pay the bills, how we're going to keep up with this, that will cause that attack.
So let me say something about financial issues that sounds like it's unrelated, but it is very related. If you have financial issues or you find yourself tug of war about finances in your house, depending on whatever happened, like Kim said, if you're both working, then now it's only one's working, or one decides one's not going to work because you're going to invest time to do something else, whatever the case may be, whatever your situation. If that's really causing a problem, then you have to evaluate the core of your marriage. You have to go back and really evaluate whether you're on the same team or whether you're even viewing your marriage as a team.
Yeah, that's so important. We're going to get into that next. Yeah, that's a good one.
Because if it's what's, and we joke about it, what's mine is hers and what's hers is mine. We we joke about that, but really, there's really just one pot.
There is.
However you manage your dollars, different accounts, same thing, whatever, but there's really just one pot.
See, and I have a difficult time. I will be the one who would have the most difficult time with this. Newt is not really that way. I am used to making my own money. I have been like that since I was pretty much 15, 14 years old working. My mother taught me that. My grandmother taught me that. Make sure you have something for yourself. So it's always real difficult for me to feel like, okay, I need to go ask Newt. Like when I stopped working and I had a long conversation, I think we talked about it for months. I was so stressed because I knew I was supposed to leave that job, but I was battling myself.
She was never supposed to take the job.
I wasn't supposed to take the job. That was my fault. Fault number one of Kim. But then when I got there, I took the job, and it was uncommon for me not to work. So I was battling, and I was feeling like this is what I wanted. Here's a communication issue. I wanted Newt to say, Kim, just leave the job. Now, why? If I'm telling him, I should have said, Newt, I'm just going to leave. I was waiting for him to do something that I didn't verbally say to him. Why? So I'm feeling stressed about it.
So let me take you back to number 2, which is communication problems.
Yep.
I thought I did say that.
Teresa.
I thought in all our conversations, I thought I said that 5 times. Well, I got it. We pay the bills. We all right.
But see, he probably was talking to himself.
No, I have said that several times. I literally remember that out loud.
You got that written down somewhere, y'all. He gonna pull it up and show me.
So those financial issues, we can talk about this a lot. But
that is a deep one.
But those financial issues, they're not just about the money. They're really about your thinking, about your position, your philosophy. Are you on the same team? Is it one pot or not? Do you trust your partner? Are you sacrificial? It's really about those things. Number 5, we talked about intimacy and sexual problems. So there's a difference between intimacy and sexual problems.
Absolutely, there are.
So as you get older, everything changes, you guys. I ain't 25 no more. I think I am.
In our head.
But I'm not 25 no more, and my body will remind me that. Although I try to stay fit, but my body will remind me that.
Yes.
So
it changes.
It's one of the things, and I know this is the area where I have to focus more, is intimacy. And that's like to Kim. Sometimes it's just me just watching a movie with her, and
because I'll be tired,
or playing, going on YouTube and pulling up all the old songs, and we just kind of sing and talk about the same parties, 9 times that we went to. So intimacy and sexual problems, when those things, kind of occur, and one can affect the other.
Absolutely. The other thing is intimacy. Here's another thing. Once you start to mature in your relationship, you're going to be looking for something that feeds your mind and not necessarily your body. So that feeding your mind might be that conversation that you guys are just having. You're just sitting around and you're having this conversation where that person understands a little bit more, where your mind is now being touched. not necessarily always your body. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. But what I'm telling you is that it might move to that level. We have got to be open, because a lot of times we think marriage just means sex, and it does not. And if that's where you are, what's going to happen when you get older and you change?
Right. Right.
Just can't happen that way.
Right.
But a lot of times, this is a reason people leave relationships and get a divorce.
Right.
It's because they don't understand marriage.
Right.
So let's move on.
You walked into it for a thing.
Yes.
And that,
Right?
that thing's gonna change.
That thing's going to
Yeah.
change.
My Chester George is going to turn into one of them. What's them things at the end of the bed where you put your cedar chest, your
Cedar
foot chest, you know.
Right.
Stuff happens. Gravity takes
Gravity.
place.
Things coming down,
You know?
coming down. My
So-
brick house turns to a hotel. I mean, there's some things that go down.
Oh wow! I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back to the slide.
Okay, so the next one, we could act up on that. The next one is people say that they have fallen out of love or they are bored.
You do this well with the falling.
No, the first of all, if you fell into it, then guess what? You keep falling. That's what happens with a fall. You fall the whole way down, past something. First of all, you fall into a relationship, it's not going to be a good one. Don't fall into anything. You need to walk into the relationship with your eyes open, understanding what you believe about marriage and relationship.
Yes.
Relationship is tough.
Yes.
Get it right.
Yes. Marriage is easy, simple.
Yes, it
Marriage
is.
is
It's simple.
We're the hard part.
We're the difficult part.
Relationship. Trying to put two things together that are different, totally different, from totally different environments. Now, don't forget law of magnetism's in place.
Yeah.
You attract what you are.
Attract what you
You
are.
attract what you are. That's law of magnetism. That's
Mhm.
just what it is. So we don't have time to get into that. We'll get into another time. But trying to put two together and make them one, that is no easy task.
That's some work. And then that boredom word, is interesting, where you're bored. Well, here's what my question is. What are you bringing to the relationship with your bored self?
Yes.
Maybe you're boring. And I'm just going to say it straight out. You have to bring something to the relationship. If you're constantly pointing the finger and blaming it on the other person, in your own mind, you might not even verbalize it. You saying it. And your words may sound different than his words or whatever, or your words than hers. But you're bored. Then what are you doing to spice it
Change
up?
that. Yeah, how you
What
change
are you, what are you doing? Pull something out of your bag. I mean, I'm sure you brought a bag with you. We're going to talk about that baggage claim another time, but you brought something with you.
Right.
What do you have to offer to the relationship so that you can stop what normally would cause a divorce?
Right.
Being
Right.
bored.
Because that I think a lot of times that Kim is just misplaced expectation.
Yeah, that's what it is for
You're
sure.
expecting a certain thing.
Mhm,
You have a certain picture in your mind,
mhm.
and when that picture doesn't happen,
Yeah.
you're now disappointed because you misappointed
Mhm.
the expectation.
That's the fight and flight thing, babe, right?
Yeah.
Where it ain't working out the way I want it. I don't love him no more. I don't love her anymore. So I'm about to roll. I sit around here. We don't do nothing. We don't go anywhere. Well, guess what? You have an opportunity to do something in your house.
And we've been there.
Yeah, we've been there.
And
I don't think about boredom.
I'm going to be 100% transparent that it's probably every 3 months, 4 months, Kim has to remind me to stop and make sure that I pay some attention,
Mhm.
to her. And that, I mean, I feel ashamed kind of saying it.
No, it shouldn't
But
be.
I mean, we're doing a lot of things,
Mhm.
and what's happened throughout the years is that we understand that each of us are doing a lot of things.
Mhm.
So we need that reminder from each other, and I need to stop and do it because that's her telling me.
And that's an area, that's where that communication
Right.
comes in.
Right.
So that he can be aware. He as well can let me know, well, you're doing this, Kim. You got your door shut and you're working on it. And he's right. I have to remember that. I have my door shut. I'm acting like I'm off limits to him. So we have to remember we both have a part.
Right.
All of these things cause divorces in the United States to make so many divorces, but you can change that
Right.
if you start to look at these things.
Right.
Religious and
And
cultural
cultural
differences.
Gigantic,
Mhm.
gigantic. and we're not. Listen, you could both be. I'm just gonna pick one out the block. I ain't picking on no
Just say it. It's okay.
denomination. You could both be Church of God in Christ, right? But I could have come up in ABC Church of God in Christ, which was serious holiness or hell, right? And you could have come up in XYZ Church of God in Christ, which was a little more liberal. So we see things different.
Right.
You know, even though we both believe in God. So I don't want you to, when I'm saying religion, think like Islam, Christianity, Judaism. I'm not talking
Basically
about that.
what you believe.
I'm talking about culture, a standard operating procedures, things that you do, those things,
Right.
you know, that are that I don't know how to say them, items, you know,
And what you believe, what you've
Yes.
been raised in. Here's the other thing. We're talking about religious and cultural. Look at this. In your own individual households, you both come from a same community. You could be across the street from each other. You could have grown up that way. But what is happening in your home and what your parents have pushed or fed you and
Cultural
said to you,
difference, yes.
that is how you've been formed and
Yes.
structured and you know, those are the things that's been in your mind.
right. That
And-
is cultural.
Yes,
That's what's a cultural
that
difference.
is a cultural
Yes.
difference. So when you get together in your relationship, you might believe the same thing, believe the same God. However, because of what Newt said about ABC, this church and XYZ,
Right.
you still have a difference. And
You've
the
been-
household
You've
difference.
been conditioned. You've been conditioned
That's the
to,
word.
to think that this is the way it's done, and she's conditioned to think that this is the way it's done,
And if it's not done that way,
and then that causes clashes, and that can be around something as positive as your faith.
as your faith.
Okay,
And what you grew up with what your mom taught you.
Right.
Ladies, certain things we believe, like I was telling you, my grandmother and then my mother and them, they all worked. So they taught us to work and to have your own. It's hard to want, to take down and be like, okay, now I'm going to ask my husband for money.
Right.
That was foreign to me.
that kind of moves us into number 8, which is those raising children.
Those are other things.
And that'll set a fuse off.
Yes,
man.
indeed.
That'll set a
Especially
powder
with-
keg off.
Especially when you are blended.
Yeah, blended
Well,
family.
that's the double take on it.
No.
Because even if you have your children to the same person,
Yeah.
and the person you're married to, the fact remains that you came from your mother's house and father's house, and he came from his. And those different belief systems start to kick in.
So just to give you an example, and if you ever heard us talk before, I talked about my father. He's a great man. He's the greatest man that I personally know alive. Well, he's not alive any longer, but I knew alive. And it was fortunate to have as my father, but he was a hard man. That was his culture, what he grew up with, what he came up under. He was a hard man, and he believed in placing hands on you to remind you, when you step out of line. Kim's father, on the other hand, who's a great man, did not do that. That wasn't his
And
way.
he didn't raise me either.
Right.
I would go on the summers and on weekends. That's the other thing.
Right.
But even if so, he was very soft. He soft-spoken to me.
Right.
I don't ever remember him ever raising his voice to me. He's never spanked me. I've never. So it's a different world.
So we get in the house together with a blended family. So, 3 of Kim's biologicals, 2 of my biologicals. I have 4, but 2 we have custody of. So you have 5 children in the household. Sometimes 6 is one of my other biologicals will come visit and stay for a while, right? So how I, my image of fatherhood came from my father in my household. Her image of fatherhood came from
No, motherhood came from my mother. And yeah, you're right.
Her
Right.
image of fatherhood came from
You're right.
what her father,
The way I saw my father.
when he was there or not there, or however that worked.
Right.
So it was a clash. So a clash. Right away, our fathers are 2 different personalities.
Absolutely.
And then mine was always, in the play, and then hers, she didn't necessarily raise it. So when we got together, and how I dealt with the children was different than her.
Right. And here's the other part of that. In my family, the women were more dominant. So they were the ones taking care of everything.
Right.
So guess who was the big voice around the house? Me. Because that was what I was used to.
I didn't mind that too much.
Well, see, that's because he looked like the good guy to the kids. So he's always wanting to be the good guy to the kids. So it looked like one way because of what I was used to. I wasn't used to the man speaking up. Even my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, he really did not yell or fuss at us ever. All of the men, not that they were passive because they were tough, but they were sweet to the kids.
Right.
So I didn't know nothing else.
Right. So these are things you have to look into. Of course, there's addiction. And we have a thing that we call the ABCs
Mhm.
of marriage, ABCs of marriage, abuse, and cheating. So when we say abuse, we're talking about any type of abuse, whether it's, physical, mental, whether there's abuse with a foreign substance in play.
Addiction, right?
So we said that those three things are reasons and cause for you to rethink your position in that relationship.
And it's also one of the common reasons for divorce.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So we're not saying if those things are in play. Let me make this clear. Because we're on the airways. I don't want you to go say.
They told me to leave my. No, we didn't.
No, we said.
No.
We said rethink. But those are not things. What we're saying is they're not things you should ignore.
Yes.
They do not just get better.
Right. So rethink doesn't
Yes.
mean this. Let me just say it like this. Rethink. What Newt is saying about rethink, he means look into it. Don't ignore
Yeah,
that.
you got to get active about it.
Okay. Get some support.
Right. And 10, we kind of touched on this in everyone that we said differences in expectations.
Which is so important.
And Kim talked about it in
Mm-hmm.
being a domineering woman that always had her own and made her own. So we get the house together. So what's the expectations?
Right.
It's
Right.
expectations to me,
You
it's
have to
expectations to
establish
her.
them.
So you have to redefine those things.
Here's the other part of those expectations. You think this is what you want all your life. You marry somebody and that doesn't happen. Now you have an expectation of the relationship. He has one.
Right.
And because they're not the same, people are divorcing for that.
Right.
Instead of trying to figure out a way
What's the middle?
to make it.
Right.
Yes.
Because first of all, there's a reason. Well, we're
We're
like
going to
killing
get
time.
into it
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah. So, and I want to talk with that lack of partnership.
Mhm.
That's at the end of number 10. Lack of partnership is heavy. So we got these from a secular source of lawyers,
Mhm.
a conglomeration, national conglomeration of divorce lawyers.
Mhm.
This is the data they put out,
Mhm.
right? And they put them in order. These are their rank order. I don't necessarily agree with those ranks because I think I understand something a little more spiritual. But
Mhm.
that lack of partnership is about covenant.
That's huge.
And partnership means partner means that a part of me
Right.
is on the table and a part of her is on the table. We get in the ship together,
That's right.
So
Heart, nerve,
yes.
shit.
So it's not my whole thing
Right.
and it's not her whole thing. It's
Right.
a part of me. It's a part of her, and we're in the ship together,
Absolutely.
right? And we create what happens in that ship.
Mhm.
So that means sometimes I'm going to be a little uncomfortable
Mhm.
because only part of I'm going to use the word opinion,
Mhm.
or the part of what I want is going to happen right now
Right.
because it's two people,
It's two people.
and we got two heads together.
Mhm.
That means that the thinking and the outcome has to be much greater
That's right.
than just me alone.
Exactly. That's good.
So partnership is about, I don't even want to use the word sacrifices. That's not the right word.
Mm-mm.
It's not sacrifice.
No, it shouldn't be. Because if it is, then
It's
you're
not
looking at marriage differently.
Yes, it's a seeding.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seeding. It's me taking down my, I don't know,
Just
authority
wanting your
of
whole
myself.
way
It's me opening up the
Mhm.
gate to me
for more.
to say, okay,
Mhm.
well, what do you say? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing some housework right now. I was doing a section of the floor, a portion of the floor, a couple weeks ago. Just one little section we hadn't done, I was doing it. In a couple of days, I sat down and I looked at it and I put the tile in place and I measured them and I numbered them and I went downstairs and I cut them on the wet saw and everything. And Kim, she was doing her work. She came out the day of. After I done mixed up the mortar, got everything laid out, numbered, and said, why are you doing it that way? You should do it like this. So I got my butt on my shoulders. Right? What you were in?
No,
You were in the room the whole time. I'm out here doing this. You won't come out here and tell me what to do. And then my man ego stepped in. How you gonna tell me to do anyway? This man's work, but I didn't say it.
No, and none of those things were
I
said.
didn't say it out loud. You know, this is what's going on in my mind, right? You know, I think I did say the thing, but you was in the room while
I was like, well, you've been in there the whole time.
You know,
I was in here trying to do. No,
So-
I was trying to clean up and organize.
So I made a lap. You know, I made a lap around the house to get myself together. And I came back, and she saw that I was, you know, upset. And I saw that she had some validity in what she was saying. So here's where part of me got down on my knees in front of that piece of the floor and started putting the towel in and considered what she said, right? And as we were doing that, she, part of her, you know, stepped in, and she was now accommodating the fact that I was a little upset, but at the same time, she put her hands in to help to keep it organized, to keep it moving forward, right? And that piece of the floor, I am not lying, is the best piece of the floor that we did. We did the whole floor together, but it's the best piece. Even as we were doing, she was like, well, look, honey, right there, that was a little higher. We might need a piece of this detail. Put that under there. You know, I didn't even want to lift it back up. You know, but what I'm saying is that partnership
That's what
is
it
what took
is.
place. It was just a part of me. I had to get off my high horse. I had to take my butt off my shoulders and kind of hear what she was saying. But so did she.
I do it all the time.
You know,
Absolutely.
So we kind of killed our time.
I don't
talking
care.
about
That's
this.
fine. We can come
Um,
back on do. That's okay. I feel like it's important
Yeah.
for you to understand there are things that are causing so many divorces, and part of the reason is the way you think. So we can move on, baby.
Right. So, I don't even know if we should even get into lies of the mind this week. We got like 10 minutes. Maybe we should just show them the video. What do you want to do?
Well, we can talk about it. Well, we need to explain what it is.
Okay. So here's what we think. We think that that in divorce,
Or in your relationship.
the seed that begins the divorce process.
Or the breakup, or the issues.
Yes.
The thing that starts. Well, it is like
Separating,
it is kind of like a divorce.
The divorce of the
in
covenant.
your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
The first thing that we think where that begins is the lies in the mind.
Things that just
Right.
are lying to you, telling you things are
Yes.
this way.
Right.
Telling you he don't care. Telling you this. And the enemy is, listen, he is the father of lies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the one who's lying to you.
Right.
And then because he speaks so often, and here's the thing, he's constantly telling you something terrible. And guess what you're doing? You're talking back to him.
Right.
So you have
Listen.
joined in conversation with him and have encouraged it. Now
In
he
your
ain't
mind.
got to say nothing.
In your mind.
In your own mind.
In your headspace.
Right.
Yep. And there's an organization I used to belong to say, listen, you have to get out of your mind.
Out of
You got to
it.
get out of your head. That's
Yes.
the most dangerous place for us to be sometimes, in our own head, right? So when we talk about lies of the mind, it is the first one that we want to cover. But there's two others that go along with it. There's fears that speak.
Once those lies are in there, then those fears start talking.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then there's hidden influences in your life, things that you didn't even know influenced you.
That were in there.
They all work together to kind of separate you
Mhm.
from the greatest relationship, the greatest tool, the greatest presence that you can ever have on this planet, and that's marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is a prototype. That's not the right word, but it mirrors our relationship, mankind's relationship with God.
Mhm.
My relationship with Kim mirrors what God intended for my relationship to be with him.
It's supposed to mirror it,
Right.
for sure.
So these three categories, they start a process in your mind. They start a process of separating you, pulling you apart from that relationship. So,
Before you even
Yes.
divorce.
yes,
It starts in your head.
yes. So,
Even in joshing, even in joking, something as silly as a joke. So listen to this. Just check out this video from the Cosmos.
How you doing, Alvin?
Hi, Dr. Huxtable.
How are you?
Thanks for letting me in.
It's okay.
Hi, Mrs. Huxtable.
Hello, Elvin.
Is Sandra ready?
Well, not yet, but she'll be down in a little while. Would you and Dr. Huxtable like some coffee?
Coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
You mean you're gonna get it?
Yes? You're surprised?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Huxtable. I didn't think you did that kind of thing.
What kind of thing?
You know, serve.
Serve whom?
Serve him.
Oh, serve him! As in serve your man?
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you something, Elvin. You see, I am not serving Dr. Huxtable, okay?
Okay.
That's the kind of thing that goes on in a restaurant. Now, I'm going to bring him a cup of coffee just like he brought me a cup of coffee this morning. And that, young man, is what marriage is made of. It is give and take 50-50. And if you don't get it together and drop these macho attitudes, you are never going to have anybody bringing you anything, anywhere, any place, anytime, ever. Now, what would you like in your coffee?
So, so we definitely picked that little video because it speaks in many different ways. It lets you see how Elvin,
Right.
the forces that were influencing him in his mind, what he thought about her
Right.
based upon what he saw.
Mhm.
She's a doctor. What? You do that sort of thing, which literally meant that she wasn't pretty much the kind of wife that he had expectations for.
Or that he experienced.
Or he experienced,
Mhm.
right?
You know, from his mom.
From
Right.
his mom, right? Because it seemed like from his mother, she probably served his father.
Right.
So that's why it's like, I didn't know you did that sort of
Right.
thing.
So I would think just by watching this, here's one of the lies of his mind. I would think just by watching this that his mother might not have been a lawyer
Mhm.
like Claire Huxtable was, you know, and because she wasn't, she served the family.
Mhm.
You know, she did. I'm gonna call it that kind of work,
Right.
right? That domestic work.
What he calls.
But here's Claire Huxtable, who's a lawyer,
Mhm.
and you don't do that type of work. That's a lie in his mind.
Mhm. It's what he thought.
Right. And that lie will set up expectations
Yeah, which we
that you
talked
have for other
about.
people.
Mhm.
So our definition for lies in the mind are the things that you were taught, you might experience, and that you accepted about marriage, right? And those things, a lot of them are lies. They're not true. Claire just cleared it up. What do you mean, serve? I'm not serving.
Mhm.
I'm getting him a cup of coffee just like he got me one,
This morning. Exactly.
right? So,
And she told him that if you didn't get that, basically, if you don't get rid of that attitude or that thinking,
Yes.
that stinking thinking, if you don't get rid of it, you'll never have anyone even wanting
Yes.
to bring you that.
you ain't getting no coffee.
Right.
You have to get your own
You
coffee.
have to get your own. Okay. We have one more. Is that the next one?
So,
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about
so if we kind of,
we might have to skip this and come back to this next week. But because I want that one
you want to
video
play the
to show.
video.
But
Okay.
anyway, we can read through it and we're not going to elaborate.
Right. So here's some lies that are in your mind, some common lines about marriage. Before you even get into your marriage, you're already thinking
It
marriage
ain't gonna
don't last forever. And no, people, all men cheat, whatever.
Right.
It ain't gonna last forever.
It's already bad. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm just staying with it because I believe you got to stay married so you don't burn.
Right. It's physical abuse isn't normal. It's
Right.
normal.
Men hit women. I'm just going to tolerate it.
What
Like the
you
one
say?
lady, she was like, he slapped me around, but it was when he punched me that I left. I thought, girl, he shouldn't be slapping you.
You know?
But sometimes we have those things in our mind based on our condition.
Right.
The next thing, husbands can't love as Christ loved the church.
Right.
Sometimes we don't think that they even have the capability to love like Christ loves the church.
Right.
That's a lie. We cannot say that.
And that whole Christ love the church piece, I would suggest that you do a study on that.
Let's see what that
Yeah,
is.
you go read some commentaries and what some
Mhm.
people are saying about that, because that's going to revolutionize your thinking,
Mhm.
right? Submission is this one was mine. Submission equals control. Not mine. I didn't think this way. Is what I'm saying. This is one thing that bothers me. It's one of the things that really bugs me. You know, we as men, we think that a woman being submissive to us means we control them.
Mhm.
No, it just means they're under the mission that we put together.
Mhm.
If you don't have no mission, there's
Nothing for them to
yeah,
get
nothing
under.
to be under.
Yeah.
It's the mission that they're under, not you.
Not you.
You
Exactly.
know, God never gave us dominion over another person.
See, he wasn't supposed to elaborate, but this is an area that he hates.
Okay, I don't like this one at all.
He hates
Right?
that controlling thing. He's definitely not that. The next one, we going on.
Okay.
We'll talk more later about it next week. Headship means dictatorship. Sometimes we think if someone is taking the lead, that they are a dictator. They are a dictator.
Mhm.
That's not how it's supposed to be. Or sometimes we think if I'm taking the lead, I can dictate. No, that's not right.
You know what headship means? It means you're first.
That's it.
It means you're first. Whatever's coming,
Exactly.
it's gonna hit you
first.
first.
You
That's
first
all
in
that
trouble.
means.
You first about you
Yep.
first to get the cold weather. You first for everything.
That's
So go
all
ahead
that
with your
means.
headship.
That's all that means. You talk to any CEO,
Uh-huh.
any business leader, that's what they're going to tell you. We're first. We're out there
Okay.
first. We see what's coming. We
Mhm.
understand it. We understand the winds that are blowing. We're first, and we now say, babe,
Mhm.
we might want to consider such and such.
Right.
But here's the deal. Sometimes she sees
I'm
it.
going to say it
it-
exactly like I did with that floor.
Right.
Like
That's what help means.
that's what
help
it means.
means that you know what. And the last one, that's you want to.
Fairy tale, thinking that this marriage, you know, us as little girls, we grow up and we just gonna get married and we're gonna have this and it's gonna be this and he's gonna just carry me away. That fairy tale, those are things that we have conditioned our mind, and when we get into a relationship and it doesn't work out, we are in trouble.
Yes, indeed.
We'll talk more about that next week, but we want to have this little mini video.
Misplaced expectations.
Yes, it is a misplaced expectation, cousins to disappointment.
Yep.
Right?
So before we show you the video, this is the point. You got to accept that lies in the mind are in play. They're in play, and that we have failed to face them,
Yep, that's what causes the relationship breakup.
and we didn't even know we could change them.
Exactly, because we
Once
think
you
the way
realize
it is the way
The
it
way
is.
it is, right?
We have another mini one that I think is so valuable, and then we are going to see you next
Yeah. So it's taking us
coming.
out. Sorry about that. I didn't embed it. It's taking us out.
week. No, that's the wrong one. Baby. So anyway, while he's getting
Oh,
it,
that's the wrong one.
while he's getting
I
it,
don't know.
it is
Hi,
a
Dr.
group
Espo.
of
Thanks for letting me in.
married people who are speaking about the relationship and understanding what it means to be married. I think it's that one. Yeah. Is that one it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, you guys. Look,
Oh.
control click. Control click. Gotta hurry up. There you go.
It's a 2-minute video. And then
Pennsylvania homeowners.
Oh wow. It's
You
got
can
the
now
ad.
join the
Got the
Pennsylvania
ads.
We're gonna
No
talk over
Cost
the ad.
Down
Talk over the
Solar
ad. Skip.
program.
Bang. There you go.
You know, a lot of people ask like, "Oh, you know, do you have an uncle? Do you have a brother? Do you have a brother? Do you have a cousin?" And I go, "Well, no, it's not. I think there are a lot of good men out there in the world, and I think that's the problem. A lot of people don't know that there are a lot of good men and a lot of good women. But they have to want
You don't
to be
see it?
married.
Oh, you don't see it?
That's the thing.
All right,
At
here,
the
let
end
me
of
do
the day,
this.
they
Let me
have to
stop the
want to be
share.
in a-
what
and
happened?
I don't know why
Sorry,
you don't
guys.
see
Hold
it.
on. You didn't see the video, and it's so valuable, so important for today.
Yeah, let me stop the share. And let's do it this way. Let's try it one more time.
Are we on the share?
All right, let me screen
Should share
share.
sound.
Screen share. Share
Here.
computer sound. Boom.
Okay.
Let's go back to the PowerPoint. I'm gonna
No,
put
the
it.
video should have been just ready to play.
No, it wasn't. Let's go back. Sorry, I'm making you dizzy right now. Got to get to
There.
the slide. There's the slide right there.
Okay. Let's make sure you guys see it because this is so important. It's a simple thing, but it's important.
Hopefully,
It's the wrong one. I don't know why it keeps coming up. Oh, I'm so sorry.
well, we'll probably just go ahead
Embed it.
and post this. I didn't embed it in the PowerPoint like I did the other ones, so it's linking outside. So I think
Was it this?
the best way for us to do this is to try one more time, and if it doesn't work this time, then I'm just gonna post the link in the
In the chat. Yeah.
chat for you, so you can watch it at your leisure. But this should be it.
That should be the one right there.
Let me go back. Let me share my screen. Let's try it right here. You should see a screen. I'm gonna go to. All right, let's see what happens. This guy. So we want to kind of end with this one here.
For just
Sorry for the
$67,
flow.
you can make as
You hear-
many
can you
videos
see
as
a
you
video?
want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use.
You know, a lot of people ask like, oh, you know, do you have an uncle? Do you have a brother? Do you have a brother? Do you have somebody, a cousin?
I'm watching.
And I
We're
go,
on a
well,
little
no,
lag
it's not. I think there are a lot of good men out there in the world, and I think that's the problem. A lot. Don't, there are a lot of good women.
Okay, well, I'll let the video play. Just listen to the message.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, they have to want to be in a relationship, and you know, society at this point has made marriage not look sexy at all, because it just doesn't look fun, and it looks boring, and it looks like a lot of work.
Yeah.
What is it really?
I feel like for me, it's really simple. You know, and it depends how you live your life. It's like self-love for two. And that's how I think about it every day. Anything that I would like do for myself, there's one other human being that I have to make like another serving for, or you know what I mean? And
if I make coffee, then I'll just
make a little more coffee. That's what I think of marriage as. Like a little more coffee.
So sorry that you guys couldn't see that, but what they were both trying to say is that marriage simply is just doing a little bit more for your spouse, making an extra cup of coffee for your spouse. And I wish you guys could have saw it. I'm sorry that it didn't work. We wasted a few minutes, and we're a few minutes over. But thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Cheetah.
We will replay that video next week. I'll figure out why it's not working. But the two big points of
Teresa.
that video was you gotta want to be married, and you're making coffee for two. This is one more cup of coffee that you're making throughout your day. So hopefully you grab some more so you can take with you
To help motivate yourself.
to educate yourself. Motivate yourself and help yourself grow. And as always, my friends, make it a great day. Or not. But that choice is always yours.
See you guys next week.
We've been to hell and back on this earth, like we're two gangs trying to fight, and love's the term. When all we really need to do is listen to each other's views on things, 'cause that's the only way to maintain good love, good love. Sometimes we get stuck on our own and love, good love. To every is where you must listen, communicate, but listen to one another. We made it this far by faith, because we wanted to make it this far. No walk away, and even though sometimes it was hard, we stayed together, we didn't fall apart. Ooh, now we can sit back and laugh of all the things we didn't have, and how far we've came. We came a long way, but we have God to thank for that. And I'm glad you stood by me, even when I was in myself. You still know me better than anyone. Good love. Sometimes we get stuck on our own and love. Good love. To every is where you must listen, communicate, but listen to one another. We made it this far by faith, because we wanted to make it this far. No walk away, and even though sometimes it was hard, we stayed together, we didn't fall apart. Good but listen to one another. We made it this far by faith because we wanted to make it this far. Don't walk away. And even though sometimes it was hard, we stayed together. We didn't fall apart.
You are tuned in to that praisey station, Praise.fm, where we get our praise on.